Star Wars The Last Jedi is a new movie by Rian Johnson and it stars Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and Adam Driver. Yeah, she put his lightsaber right now. Taking place literally right after the events of The Force Awakens, Rey is on her journey to find Luke Skywalker. As he finally finds him, Luke is very reluctant to train her to become a Jedi. Unfortunately, meanwhile this is happening, the First Order is rising against the galaxy, and the Resistance is falling down, and now Rey and the Resistance have to fight against the First Order and bring them down. Literally right after The Force Awakens, when I got out of my seat, I was already ecstatic for this movie. After that literal cliffhanger, I was so excited to see this movie. I mean, it was finally gonna answer our burning questions, continue on the story, we were going to get more characters, more everything. We got Rian Johnson directing, which if you see that movie Looper, that's a great movie, like go see it. So what did I think about this movie? All I'm going to say right now is that I was extremely satisfied with this movie. The first thing I really loved and admired about this movie is the fact that Rian Johnson was not afraid to take a risk. Now, everyone's number 1, 2, and 3 complaint about The Force Awakens was, oh my god, it's so similar to A New Hope. Well, I never really found a problem with that. It was apparent. Yeah, it was basically A New Hope. So Rian Johnson heard you far and clear and makes a very different, very honestly bold take on the Star Wars movie. This is not what you expected. I expected one thing and I got exactly opposite. Some fans are really divided. Even I was kind of conflicted after getting out. I was like, okay, this is really what I like. But after seeing on this, I really like the decisions Rian Johnson did. He took some bold and different takes on the story and the characters we did not expect. The story is so dark. There's so many compelling parts to it. Well, there's some that we'll get to some of the parts later. But for the main part, you know, the First Order versus the Resistance, Kylo versus Rey, it's compelling. Like, and the decisions Rian takes with, you know, Force talking and a bunch of stuff I don't really want to dive into because it'll be spoilers. I really admire what Rian Johnson did. This movie may be dark like The Empire Strikes Back, but it also has the fun and the spirit of the Star Wars franchise. Yes, this is one of the funniest Star Wars movies I've seen. All the jokes really land because they're so funny. You may think, oh, Star Wars can't have humor, which is BS because Star Wars movies do have humor. Force Awakens was really funny. And in this movie, they inject a lot of humor, but it doesn't take away from the emotional moments. The emotional moments play out. You're able to feel the punches, you feel the kicks, but they spice in the humor here and there to keep the levity in the movie going so it's not too dark. And I felt like they really mixed it. And obviously the Star Wars spirit, it's here and there, it's all apparent. And Rian Johnson makes a perfectly great Star Wars movie where it takes a bunch of bold and different risks, but it keeps the spirit of the entire franchise. As for the characters, they're all back and with new additions, and we have to talk about all of them. First of all is Rey. Rey was such an interesting character in The Force Awakens, so I was really excited to see how they continue her journey in The Last Jedi, and it was so good. Daisy really pulls it off so well. She plays someone who wants to become a Jedi, but has not been fully trained yet, hasn't been trained to her perfection. You also finally hear the burning questions you wanted out of her in The Force Awakens. She's so good. I love Daisy Ridley, and she was so good in this. John Boyega's back as Finn. Finn was great throughout the entire movie. While it was one of the weaker parts in the movie, we'll get to that later, he's still so charismatic, so awesome, so much levity to the screen. He's so good. My boy Oscar Isaac's back as Poe Dameron, who was honestly my favorite character in The Force Awakens. Like, yeah, I honestly loved him so much. And in this movie, he's so good. He's still such a badass. He's still such a good on-screen presence, but he's not a perfect character. He has way more to do in this movie, and he's a flawed character. Like, he's a gunshot who doesn't really listen to people, and you finally get him. His character arc is so good. Mark Hamill's finally back as Luke Skywalker, and oh my god, it was so satisfying to finally see him on the screen. He has the best and most impactful moments of the entire movie. He is a broken man. He is not the same character he was 30 years ago at the end of the Return of the Jedi. He's not the same character. He's a broken man who is guilty over the actions he's taken and lost himself over his island. And his scenes are so good. His conflict inside, his actions, you understand him. But honestly, like, it's crazy. Like, I love Mark Hamill so much. He's not best supporting actor worthy in this movie, but he's truly incredible. And finally, Adam Driver is Kylo Ren. If you thought he was good in The Force Awakens, I thought he was good. But I was like, okay, let's see what this guy's about. No. in this movie, you finally get way more. Kylo Ren is by far the best part about The Last Jedi. His scenes where he interacts with Daisy Ridley via the Force, that's all I'm gonna say. But when they do that, it's so suspenseful and like just clenching. Like, I love Adam Driver so much. He has this internal conflict inside, and it's super compelling. Every action take, his performance is honestly incredible, and I loved every scene he was in this movie. I cannot wait to see him in Episode 9. He's that good in this movie. As for the action scenes, do they deliver? Absolutely. Rian Johnson directs some absolutely spectacular action scenes in the movie. They have all sorts of grand spectacle, like just little everything, honestly. There's just big space dogfights, there is land wars, but not just that, there's lightsaber duels, and oh my god, they're so good. There's one standout action scene I'm not gonna spoil because it's not in any of the trailers, but man, there's a reason why they saved it. This action scene is so cool. There's so much force powers and lightsabers and all that, and it's super cool. I absolutely love the action scenes. They're definitely one of the main points that are worth admission alone. Also, the CGI. I mean, the CGI is incredible. Most of the visual effects look incredible because it's ILM and they do amazing stuff. The cinematography is beautiful, very crisp, very wide amount of colors, very beautiful shots. Contains tradition Force Awakens. I mean, this movie has some truly great cinematography. And finally, like, the practical effects are amazing. Like, they do mix the practical effects really well with the CGI. Yeah, there's a lot of CGI. You can really tell. But the practical effects are present and they're super good. You can clearly tell they're filming on sets. They're filming with practical creatures and everything. And it's super cool. And finally, the score by John Williams. I mean, come on. It's a John Williams score. Like, it's so good. I mean, it adds so much emotion, so much epicness. Like, yes, John Williams is a master and it shows in this movie. Now, I said this earlier. The Last Jedi is an extremely satisfying movie. I had a ton of fun. I really loved a lot of moments in this movie, and I can recommend this movie. But there are some glaring issues throughout the entire movie that I have to talk about. And I'm not going to be a blind Star Wars fanboy. I have to talk about these issues, and it kind of affected the whole movie. Now, first of all, I gotta say, the pacing's pretty rough. Now, again, it's not a J.J. Abrams movie where it's non-stop, super intense, non-stop action, and it works really well with The Force Awakens. This movie does take a slower character-focused take, and I like that about this movie. Like, whenever it's about Rey and Kylo Ren, their conflict, Kylo's conflict inside of him, and all that, it's super riveting. It's interesting. I love that so much. It's just that everything else, it's kind of either good at best or just in general. Like, the pacing's pretty rough. Like, there's a lot of moments that kind of drag down the entire movie. Like, it's 2.5 hours and I kind of felt it. It should have been cut down by at least 20 minutes. Now, hear me out. There's this casino subplot in a planet which I don't want to say anything else because this subplot was not shown in any of the trailers. So let's just keep it at that. But this subplot was kind of unnecessary. Like, it kind of connects to the main story, but overall, like, I just felt like it brought down the entire thing. There's some cool moments in it. There's this cool relationship between Finn and his new character Rose, which I really like this character Rose. And Finn is obviously awesome, but this subplot was not that interesting in the long scope, and I felt like if they just cut this subplot out and focus on the main story between Kylo Ren versus Rey, the Resistance versus the First Order, it would have been a way more focused, intense, and riveting movie that would have been more of an emotional impact on me. And that's really one of my biggest problems with this movie. But not just that, this one's pretty small, but I gotta say it, Snoke was kinda underwhelming. You know, Snoke, the main villain, played by Andy Serkis, masterfully, by the way, but I feel like it was kinda underwhelming. Now, I don't want to say anything more because if I said more, I'd be spoiling his role. So I'm just gonna keep it at that. But overall, I feel like if the pacing was cut down, the movie was cut down a bit just for the pacing to be better, and Snoke was a better villain, and Finn and Rose maybe have something better to do, I feel like it would have been a way better movie, and would have been on par with The Force Awakens. So in conclusion, The Last Jedi, I said before, it's an extremely satisfying movie, and I stand by that. It's super entertaining, super fun, super different and bold in directions I did not expect. I really loved so much moments. I thought it was epic in a lot of moments, but there's a lot of moments where it kind of brought down the entire thing, like the casino subplot, and some characters like Snoke didn't really feel as good as I wanted it to be, but that's pretty much the issues. I really like this movie, and I think
it's not as good as The Force Awakens, but it's still a worthy Star Wars film. Definitely not like Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars like a lot of fans are making out to be right now. Because it's always kind of dividing the audience, or the Star Wars fans, I should say, believe it or not. Now, I do have to say, I really have to rewatch this movie before I really make my mind on it, honestly, because when I saw this movie, when I got out, I was honestly conflicted. Like, I really liked it, but there were a lot of things in me were like, okay, what just happened? Because this movie went in directions I did not expect. Like, I thought it was going to go one way and went the exact opposite. And it was very off-putting. That's why I'm giving it an initial rating of 8 out of 10. I can say, if you're a Star Wars fan, I strongly recommend it. I mean, you're probably going to see it this weekend already. But even if you're a casual fan, go see it. Like, enjoy it. If you liked Force Awakens, you're probably going to like it. If you didn't like Force Awakens, maybe you like this one because it went in a different direction. I don't know. But the point is, I really have to rewatch this movie before I make my mind on it in the future. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching my Last Jedi review. If you guys enjoyed my video, please give me a like, favorite, and subscribe. Click on the notification bell for alerts for new videos. Comment if you like the video so you can tell me we make way more videos in the future. Anyways guys, I'll see you in the next video.